Okay, hello everyone, good evening. We're gonna get our meeting started. Our first meeting of the year. Happy New Year to everyone. Looking forward to a good one. We got some business to discuss today and go over, so let's get it started. Mr. City Manager, do we have any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor.
Are the mics on? Testing. Are the mics on? Can you guys hear me?
Testing,
Yeah?
testing.
Good? Yeah, there you go. Okay, say that again.
Yes, the item for special presentation, Pico Fast Pitch, has been pushed to another meeting.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. With that in mind, roll call, please.
Councilmember Commissioner Garcia.
Here.
Councilmember Commissioner Lutz.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Vice President Dr. Sanchez.
Here.
Mayor President Camacho.
Here. And I did receive a call, and Councilmember Lara did communicate that he was not going to be able to make it to the meeting today, so he's excused. Moving on, we'll start with the invocation with Councilmember John Garcia. Please rise.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you just please bow our heads? Thank you, Heavenly Father, for the privilege of allowing the members of the City Council as serving as elected officials for the City of Pico Rivera. I pray for those who are in positions of authority and leadership, thanking you for their commitment and dedication for our city. Help us to discern between good and bad choices and to make wise choices, decisions that will contribute to the growth and integrity of our city and work for the benefit of our community. In your name we pray, amen.
Thank you for that. Please remain standing, and we're going to be able to do the flag salute. We have our special guest, Paloma Roldan, 7th grader from Rivera Middle School. Please join us.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council, and members of the community. My name is Paloma Roldan, and I am a 7th grade student at Rivera Middle School. It is my honor to lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Please face the flag, place your right hand over your heart, and join me as we begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very well, very well. Thank you, Paloma, for that. Can you come up and join us up here for a picture? And I'd like to provide you with a certificate for joining us. Work your way. Staff will help you. You can take it. Oh, yeah, please. Yeah, thank you. right, that concludes our presentations. We don't have a presentation this evening. I want to move on. I'd also like to recognize our commissioners in attendance, starting with Yarisma Rocha, our planning commissioner, who's also a trustee at Rio Hondo Community College, representing the city of Pico Rivera. Thank you for being here. And we also have Bobby Tanner, our veterans commissioner, who should be here shortly, and we'll welcome her when she arrives. And just perfect timing as we speak, and thank you. It's Bobby Tanner from Veterans Commission. Thank you for being here, Bobby. Join us. Okay, move on to our public comments. I do have a few here in front of me that have turned in these green public comment requests. We'll start off with Maria Valenzuela, concerns about upkeep. Maria, please join us at the podium.
Hi, I'm here to ask the city council members. My concern is I'm a walker. I walk a lot. I live by Rio Hondo Park, and I walk every morning, and there's a lot of trash in the city that I pick up myself because it's small stuff that I can do, like a trash days. I pick it up, put it in the trash. But there's some things that I cannot handle, such as big trash. Back in November 24th, I called and requested there was a couch that was left outside on Beverly Road. And I called on the 11th, and all those days went by, Christmas went by, New Year went by, and I know you guys, or the employees, have those 2 weeks off during Christmas. Meanwhile, there was a mattress left there, and there was also a desk that was there for 2 weeks. And nobody picked it up. I tried calling the city, and I know you guys were closed. Your receptionist is a little bit rude when she answers the phone, so it's really hard to call as an older person and be disrespected by this person. So I just wanted to request and maybe make a suggestion that all our city councilmen that, go out there for our vote when it comes to that time, also take time and in their own neighborhoods maybe report to the Public Works that they need to pick up a mattress, a couch. Our people, I know they provide trash service, which is really good. I use it, I have a bulky item, but there's people that don't and just drag their stuff, and it looks horrible. So I just wanted to maybe request the employees, the city council members, to be like mandatory reporters of big items that are left by our residents. For whatever reason, they just leave them there. So maybe just be reporters, and all of us take care of our beautiful city that otherwise you guys take really good care of. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Valenzuela. I appreciate that. I know that I live down the street from Rio Hondo Park, and so I and my wife walk too, but as you can tell, at tamales over the holidays, I haven't walked over there, so I haven't seen any of that lately. But I will, I just want to make a comment. Mr. City Manager, can you please address that?
Yes, will do.
I don't want to have residents come over here and complain about trash. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Valenzuela. Next, I'll bring up Vivian Kelly regarding Great Street. Please go to the podium, please. Thank you.
Hello, I was here last year because the street sweeper was not cleaning my gutter. And I filed a complaint, and because my house and my neighbor's house, it's not graded correctly. So the water builds up. The rest of the block, the water drains. I used to have a guy who would slow down and clean my neighbor's house and my house. But then he got injured, he stopped doing it, and the new guy doesn't give a crap and used to just go by so fast and leave all the gutter waters, leave the little pieces of debris from the tree. So I came and I complained. I also asked if I could have my street regraded. In the last month, he did miss one time. Thursdays are my normal day, and that's Christmas and New Year's. But before that, he didn't come by. And I called, and they said, oh, there was a truck in the way. There was not a truck in the way. They said they would send me a picture. I never received a picture. He just didn't clean it. And the truck owner never got a ticket. So I don't believe that that was an excuse. I think he just figured, you know what, enough time has gone by, I don't have to bother. Now I go out every Thursday morning and I watch him. I watch him stop and take a picture, clean the street. Sometimes he has to go back and forth and then take a picture of it clean. I don't think I should have to be doing this. I don't think I should have to get up at 7:30 in the morning and make sure that this man does a good job, because he doesn't give a crap unless somebody's watching him. Then he does give a crap. But anyway, I've been doing that the last couple of Thursdays. I want to know, are you going to ever regrade my street? I asked before to regrade my street. My neighbor asked that the street be regraded. We don't know if it's in the budget. I never got a call back from Department of Public Works whether it's in the budget this year. If you regrade the street, then I won't have to go out there and watch him clean my street. So if I could find out if that is in the budget this year. My address is on there, 6440 Kelton View Drive. It's 6440 and 6446 that has the issue. The rest of the block is fine. Sometimes there's not even any water, just a little bit of leaves. But in my house and my neighbor's house, there's always water and leaves and it smells. So if I could get a call back and know whether you plan on fixing my street this year, or do I have to wait for another year and go out there for the rest of this year to make sure he does his job, I would just like to know.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly, for bringing this again to our attention. City Manager, can you continue addressing this? I know we have a payment management plan item on the agenda today to go over a lot of streets. There's a lot of bigger issues related to our streets, but nonetheless, we'll keep addressing it. So thank you, Ms. Kelly, for coming. I'm addressing to my city manager to look into, and he'll direct appropriate staff to reach out to, if not himself.
Yes, if I may, City Manager, I believe our residents may not be aware. We contract out for our trash services. They're not employees. Our trash is handled by NASA, and we have a phone number. So if you can contact NASA as well as the sweeper that are our vendors nationwide, to have them be aware of these issues that although Public Works is our city, we do have outside vendors and we have a phone number, but we can have our staff contact them for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker, Cesar Luna, regarding our Pico Rivera Kiwanis.
Happy New Year, City Council members, everyone that's here. Thank God we made it through last year. And congratulations to the young lady who did the Pledge of Allegiance from Rivera. Way to go, you did a good job. I'm a man between two cities. I'm the president of Kiwanis 605 in Norwalk, and I really would like to start a Pico Rivera Kiwanis. I had to be at the reorg at Norwalk and see the changing of the mayors. And it happened to coincide with the same day that the reorg here was in Pico Rivera. So I was so wanting to be here to see the change and see Gustavo become the mayor and just participate. But I had to be in Norwalk. However, my heart is always in Pico. I'm a Pico peep forever. And it feels good to be here. I haven't been here for a while. Norwalk has taken up a lot of my time. I'd like to spend more time here in Pico Rivera initiating the Kiwanis. We have a lot of people who are interested. They've signed the forms, but they don't do a lot of follow-up. So come on, everyone. Let's follow up and join the Kiwanis. We just did, our last event was feeding 350 kids who were decorating the Rose Parade float for the Kiwanis International, and that was a blast. And that was at Phoenix Rose Float warehouse, and it was just a blast. And you know, you can sneak in and see 10 of the other floats being made, and that was a lot of fun. And the kids that are decorating the float they have the patience of saints. cutting little daisies and smashing parsley. Oh man, I don't have the energy to do that, but they did a great job. And those are some of the things that we do as Kiwanis. And we collaborate with the Lions Club, and it's just fun. It's a good fellowship, and I think Pico Rivera could use it just as any other city, a local city. Linwood is also trying to start a new Kiwanis there, and it's just fun to be a part of the city, part of the citizens. You know, you can walk down the street and you say, hey, you're a Kiwanian, right? Yeah, I'll see you at the meeting. It'll be kind of cool to do that here in Pico. And thank you for the opportunity to speak. And again, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you, Mr. Luna. And because you do a lot in Pico Rivera, I will excuse you for not being at the council meeting last year. Thank you. Thank you for that. Next, we have Lauren Talbot for the library updates.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Lauren Talbot, and I'm the Community Library Manager at the Pico Rivera Library and the Rivera Library. Here are our updates for January. Teens are invited to our Mindfulness with Vision Boards program at the Pico Rivera Library on Saturday, January 17th at 2 p.m. They will learn how creating a vision board can help set goals for the future and foster a positive mindset. And then they'll make vision boards to help set goals for this year. The Pico Rivera Library Book Club will be discussing the best-selling novel, The Thursday Murder Club, on Tuesday, January 20th at 6 p.m., and copies of the book are available for checkout at the Pico Rivera Library. The Rivera Library will be undergoing a refurbishment of the public restrooms so they'll be ADA compliant, starting at the end of January. Library hours may be adjusted to accommodate construction. Please keep an eye on our website and on our social media for updates. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Talbot. Okay, and our last speaker is Victor Gonzalez on water awareness. Mr. Gonzalez?
Hi, my name is Victor Gonzalez. Probably a lot of people in the board and the council don't know me, but a few do. I've been involved in our city for over, it's going to be 25 years. Been a basketball coach, a mentor. I served and volunteered for the LA County Sheriff's Department and LA County Fire Department too. Mayor Camacho, we worked so hand in hand, so I want to thank you again, Johnny. Thank you again, and for the new council members, hopefully I'll be working with you guys for some programs. But today I'm here to bring some bad news and bring some awareness for Rancho High School. So I was working for a while for Rancho High School, and I seen a lot of stuff behind closed doors that I want the community to be aware of. These are not rumors, I have facts. Our water fountains and our school sites are disgusting. Polluted, and are being told by school board members to ignore it. Don't worry about the money. We don't have the money for that. I came up with solutions. People that know me, Camacho, you know me very well. I'm a fighter. When people tell me there's no money, I go after it. I'm reaching out to our supervisor, Han. I'm reaching out to a lot of water companies to donate. I just attended a water board meeting last month. November. The board members, the board presidents, also on record said to me, I have offered 10 times to test their waters, Victor. People like Victor Caballero, Pete, they know me, and they said, we offer them 10 times to test their waters. But here's the bad thing about it. You go into the principal's office, you go on their school staff, you know what kind of water they have? They got Primo water. They get water delivery. But our kids have to drink from a faucet that is corroded, and they don't even worry about our kids. So one day I decided to get that water, put it in a cup. It was so bad that the water was yellow. So now I asked the community on the next school board meeting, attend it. because it takes us as a village to put that pressure on our school board. And hopefully, I don't know if city could do anything about it. Hopefully they could, give me some directions, get some donations, get water bottles and everything. Camacho, I don't know if you remember this. Rivera Park, when Rivera Park, our water fountain broke inside, you came up and you donated water. I don't know if you remember that. I had the off-season program, and I didn't have no water for our kids. But you came up with some cases of water because you didn't want our kids to go out there and be out there in the park or going home, getting some water. But you came up with solutions, and here it is. If a city council or could come up with solutions, why can't school board members do? So again, thank you for your time. This is just to bring awareness and to the community.
Thank you for that, Mr. Gonzalez, for bringing that to our attention.
Thanks.
We'll definitely have our conversations with the school district as we do with the meetings. I know that that's Pico Water District, not our water, because our water is clean, and I'm sure Pico Water is as well. But as it relates to infrastructure and fountains, that's a whole different story. And we'll make sure we relate that. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez, and continue doing the great work in the community.
Mayor, I have a question, if I may. We had an ad hoc last year with the El Rancho Joint City El Rancho Unified District. We have joint meeting with them just to kind of discuss issues that pertain to both of us. Do we have to issue that for an ad hoc, or is it a standing ad hoc? Councilmember Lutz and I were on that committee on the ad hoc.
That was established last year. It would have to be reestablished, but I do have a planned meeting with the interim superintendent possibly tomorrow morning, so I could bring this issue.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll be working on creating these committees. Most of them have expired, so we will, but I will address the committees at another date. Thank you for that. And we do have two, that's public comment, and it's public comment, just commenting on two written public comments. The first one that I have here that will be submitted for the record regarding a request for resolution regarding 9047 to 9049 Washington Boulevard, as well as homeless vehicles at Lowe's and Ultra Beauty parking lot. Can, Mr. City Manager, can you look into this and address these matters? Thank you very much. That concludes our public comment. Then that leads us into our regular consent calendar items. Colleagues?
If there's no objection to the consent, I'll move consent.
I'll second.
So we have a first and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Moving on to our regular city council regular agenda item. We have one item that is for the 5-year payment management program update. Mr. City Manager?
Yes, we do have a presentation. I'll turn it over to Noe Negrete, our Director of Public Works.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. So I got a presentation here to go over our pavement management plan. We do this roughly every 5 years or so. So if you need to slow me down or speed me up, let me know, but we're going to go through a series of slides here that assesses basically all of our streets in our city. Okay, so as part of the agenda, we're going to look at the process of how we go about undertaking, evaluating our streets, what different pavement conditions exist. We'll show you some streets that are representative of those conditions. And then we'll give you an overview of where we're standing in terms of how our streets, so basically our report card, and then our analysis and project planning in terms of how to attack that. So we go out for an RFP. We do hire a third party to do this. We want it to be somebody not from the city staff going to look at this objectively from the outside. There's two ways to do it. One, you can hire somebody as a consultant that will look at it just by plain sight and give you a visual analysis and a grade, like the LA County tends to do that. Or you do the second approach, is what we did, is we actually hire a firm that has a specialized vehicle that measures the different pavement and the subbase using different pieces of equipment on that van. In this case, we did hire a firm, IMS. We do a kickoff meeting, go over through the objectives that we're trying to accomplish in terms of every street. We give them the different strategies of what we're trying to approach. And then they go ahead and they drive this van all throughout the city, and they get their data from that van. Obviously, it takes several weeks to do that. Sometimes they have to go back, depending on the data, redrive it. And then from then, they kick us a report. And then from that report, we have a lot of local knowledge, more than they do. We go through the numbers, and there's a lot of back and forth till eventually we get to today, where we're presenting to you our findings and our recommendations of what streets to do over the next 5 years. Okay, those of you that like science, you'll like this slide. Those of you that don't like science, you have to bear with me here. But I know all of you do get questions from your neighbors about streets and how we do streets. So it's a little bit counterintuitive in terms of how we go about our improvements. If you're a homeowner and how you do your home improvements as a home is something fails, or it gets down to something really poor before you go address it. Unless some of us have trust funds that we're not aware of, usually when something's in good shape, you leave it alone until it becomes in a condition where it's not bearable. For streets, it's a little bit different. So we categorize our streets into 4 different categories. One is very good, which is like a brand new street. Good is a street that's in pretty good condition still. It has some cracking in there. Remember, we're dealing with concrete. Whether it's asphalt or Portland cement concrete, concrete will crack, okay? And cracking is good because in cold times, it'll contract and then it expands in hot times. But you want it to do that. It has some flexural strengths that it's normal. What you don't want is the vertical cracking up and down or large separations of gaps. That's where streets become less drivable. A poor street essentially is more cracking, larger holes or small holes, and at the end you get a very poor street, which basically you cannot save that street anymore. You have to reconstruct the entire street. Okay, so very good. We don't have any issues with those because those are the ones we just paved. Good streets, those are the ones we want to preserve. So if you look on that chart, and it goes down and then it comes back around. Whatever, I forgot the shape that was in geometry. But as you come in down, right where it says cost to preserve about 40% of the pavement, that's generally when we want to do not a full reconstruct, but we want to pave the street. A lot of times you'll see like a slurry seal, which is like a black liquid emulsion. And it makes the street black again, okay? And if you go into the very poor, before you get to that, you can do like what they call a grind and overlay. You grind 2 inches off and you put 2 inches back is the other most common. Those are really cost effective, the slurry being the cheapest. The grinding cap is a little bit more expensive, but it's definitely a lot cheaper than doing a full reconstruction. A full reconstruction, you're usually looking at least 6 inches of pavement removing and putting that back on, and that's a minimum, okay? So what you try to do is you try to catch things before they fall into the red. That's what every city the consultant will tell you, is say cities, let's try to, because that way you can use your money, which again, we don't have endless amounts of money. We usually have set amounts, and you want to stretch those dollars. So you want to be able to pave more streets. So how you go do that is you try to get streets that are in the yellow and in the orange, and you do those treatments so you can get more streets done, and they prolong those service lives. So when you see the curve comes down, then you do a treatment, it comes back up. Then your curve comes down, you do a treatment, it comes back up. So in theory, what you'd like to do is always do those minor treatments before it ever gets into the very poor stage. That way you're using the most cost-effective methods to keep bringing new life into those streets. And we'll come back to that because that is theory-based. Because what ends up happening a lot of times is that you don't spend enough money to get those streets in time, right? There's lean years. And in those lean years, a lot of times budget cuts come into streets because the large amounts of money that it takes to do our streets on an annual basis, you can save a couple of $1 million by taking away from that. But by doing so now, you're missing that point of time where you could have saved that street, and now it goes into a stage of very poor. Now, what happens when it gets into the red? And this is just common for a lot of cities, our neighbors, Orange County, name any city in California, this is the issue, is that when they get in the red, then the consultant will tell you that street is now not savable. So you're better off not doing that street now, because it's going to cost you a lot more to do that one street than it is to do all the other streets like we talked about. So those get pushed out, or what they call deferred, okay? So how many times when we have a paving job, I know you never get this, we're paving a street, and you get a phone call. You're walking or at the grocery store, and then one of your neighbors will say, Mr. Mayor, why are we paving that street? That street is better than the street that I live on, right? And you say, well, I don't know why we do that. Well, now you could say, because we're trying to preserve that street. Yes, it is better, but it's in a current condition where it's going to cost us less money to be able to go fix that street than it is to go attack those 4 reconstructed streets. And that's what's happened over time here. We've had several years, probably a decade of deferral. And now you see that the streets that are in the red has increased. Let me get to that slide here. Okay, so this is kind of important. Again, there's not going to be a pop quiz on this or anything, right? But if you want to follow with me later, I can go to your office. But you're trying to save as many streets before they get into the red. The problem is when they get in the red, now they become a street where it's an orphan now. Because it costs so much money, they keep on getting passed over. Okay, we're going to come back to that. That's the traditional approach that most of these plans will recommend to you. Okay, let's talk about, I'm gonna rifle through a couple of these real quick. These are all different types of cracks. There's several different types of cracks that they look at. I told you the machine looks at. Not all crack is the same. Okay, there is a science to this, and they're able to read through those cracks. The reflection coming back into the vehicle does mean something in terms of the numbers. Okay, and then beyond the cracks, there's a reason for the crack, whether it's a utility, whether just property wasn't sealed, again, whether there's joint slippage. All that is taken into consideration. It's like reading a book for these guys. Again, there is standards that people go by. I'm not going to get into all that. Let's just talk about our streets. Where we're at today, our report card from a 0 to 100, 100 being a brand new street, a 0 being a whatever, fill in whatever you want a city that has that, but it's basically a street that's falling apart. That's a 0 street. And you can feel it, you drive it, it's really bumpy, right? You don't really want to drive on that street in the future. Our report card right now puts us right dab in the middle. We're a 50. Okay, so if you're a glass half full or half empty, you decide what you are, but we're a 50, okay? What we want to be at is we want to be closer to a 56 or a 60, okay? That's really where we want to get closer to. These are just examples of streets. I'm gonna skip those. Let's just get to some of the graphs here. Okay, let me keep up with you here. I'm at a bad angle here. So this shows us right here our current network of streets. So the good news I'll tell you is about 47% of our streets are in good shape. That's a pretty good number. All right, now the other good news is only 14% of those are poor. That's a good number too. So far, we're doing excellent. Right? Our report card is good. Problem now is we got a lot of red. We got 40% of streets that are in very poor shape. And you can drive. You don't have to believe me, drive our streets. And most of those streets are in our residential areas. Let's go back to this one here. So in our previous PMP, we really went to attack our arterial streets, so your main thoroughfares, right? Your Rosemeads, your Slossons, and we've done a really good job of that. Their report card came in at a 66. So we really did a good job in the last 5 years of attacking those arterial streets. But we deferred all of our residential streets. Our report card for our residential is a 44%. And a lot of those red ones are in our residential streets now. Okay. And just real quick here, again, 70% of our network is residential streets. Makes sense. 22% is in our arterials. So again, we did a great job of attacking those in the past. Now we need to really focus in on our residential streets. And just, this is just a material slide. Concrete is stronger than asphalt. And it shows here in our slide here. Streets that we pave with concrete have a PCI of 74. Streets that we pave with asphalt is a 48. Again, we want it closer to 56. Concrete is stronger. The reason why we don't pave everything with concrete is it costs almost 3 times more to pave something in concrete. Usually the areas we do that are these intersections or on our main thoroughfares of our streets, but it is quite expensive to do it that way. Okay, so this is now our decision tree in terms of what we want to do. Let's just say we decided to do nothing. Okay? If we did nothing today, in the next 5 years, our PCI would go down to 41. Okay, well, we would save money, but our condition of our streets would obviously go down. If we try to maintain what we have right now, which is roughly a 50, we need to set aside just over $5 million per year. If we want to go to a 56, which is our current budget, right now we're setting aside $9 million per year. Remember, in our last budget cycle for the CIP, we set aside $9 million every year. That'll bring our PCI to a 56. Okay, our target is 60. To be able to get to 60, we would have to set aside roughly $11.8 million per year. Okay, now, if we win the lottery or anybody in our community wins a lottery, we'll gladly take some of the money. And if you want to give us $142 million, we can do all of our streets and we can get our PCI up to 89. That just tells you in terms of the dollars that we need to be able to get a number. So our goal is at the end of this 5 year, if we set aside that $9 million, attack with those $45 million, we'll bring it up to a 56. Okay, we're closer to our 60, but we're on our road now to recovery. Okay, our plan. I told you what the traditional approach is basically keep deferring those residential streets. We're here before you today to say we are not advocating for that as a staff. So we took their report and said, we're not going to do that, thank you, we're not going to do that. We want you to go back now and prioritize our residential streets because those residential streets have been deferred for far too long. We've been here in many meetings where people have come up and have talked about their streets and being in poor condition. We want to now set aside and target those specific residential streets. Now, what's going to happen is it's going to cost us more money. It roughly costs you about $1 million a mile to fix a residential street. So we're going to start attacking those, but we're only going to put a dent into that number. Okay, but it's better than doing nothing because we need to have a long-term plan. Remember, the city is going to exist for a long period of time. So even though we may think now that a 5-year period is a long time, can't think of it that way. We need to start somewhere. Today we will start attacking those residential streets. So by the end of the 5th year, we'll improve our PCI, and then we got to dedicate the same again for the following 5 years so we can get a 10-year run now. Because that's how we're going to go after these streets. The more we defer them, the faster they will deteriorate. And the more money it will cost us in time, because prices only go up, they don't go down. Okay, in this case now, the hard part is going to be for you and for me is that there's so many streets out there that we can pick from that we're not going to have enough money to do them all. That's the issue. So we worked with the consultant to try to pick the ones that made the most sense in terms of traffic, cut-through streets, if they were next to each other. We're trying to couple that because we're thinking of construction now. People are going to be bothered during the construction time. So we want to kind of clump areas to try to get in and out of that area and not have you know, a street next to you, the next block, and the next block, and you're 3-4 years into construction, you're going to ask me the question, why, how come we couldn't do all those at one time? You'd rather feel the brunt of the construction at one time as opposed to spreading that over several years. And that's what we're asking for in this plan is the flexibility for the staff, myself and the staff, to be able to, we're going to do all those streets in the 5-year period, but give us the flexibility to change the order. So traditionally, again, cities will just take year 1, all the streets there, they'll do. Year 2, they'll do. Year 3. What I want the option is, what a lot of times happen is that truck doesn't know about proximity to streets. So they'll recommend maybe 3 blocks of a street. You'll skip 2 blocks, and then they'll do another block. That one in the middle, they'll do that 3 years later per the plan. That doesn't make sense to me. Let's do all that whole stretch in that first year that we're going to do those other 2 stretches. And we should also be looking at the neighboring streets. If there's neighboring streets that tee into there, let's also look at those streets so we can try to see if we can accelerate those as well. Okay? The other thing I want to propose is there's different treatments like we talked about before. So one of the easier treatments or the lighter treatments that's less costly is a slurry seal. They're spreading out the slurry seal over 3 different years. And some years only doing like 7 streets, which doesn't make sense. We don't get a lot of bang for our buck. What I'd like to propose is we look at the first 3 years of slurry seal and we do those in year 1. So we get a better price because we're packaging more streets and we're also going after more streets ahead of time so we can get the PCI up higher before those streets start to deteriorate. Why wait till year 3 when we can do that now? As long as we have the money to be able to do that and the flexibility to be able to change streets and stay within that 9 million, but looking at trying to accelerate some of these streets, that's what we're looking for from you today. With that, I'm happy to take questions from you.
Very well. Thank you, Director Negrete. I'll open it for questions and comments. Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. Noe, thank you for that report. And I'm really happy to hear that you're prioritizing residential areas. We know there's not going to never be enough money to handle all the streets that we would like to do here on this dais. And most of our concerns and complaints come in after rain or record rain that we've had in these last couple of months. So, you know, we get the requests up here on the dais. Now, you had mentioned you're going to target and prioritize residential areas. How are you going to determine who gets what or what street?
So it's already in the plan.
Okay. Now,
right?
Vivian Kelly, who came here earlier regarding Kelton View, we'll be able to get back to her and let her know what year or when that will occur?
Yeah, we'll give it back to her. That's a different issue, though.
Okay.
Her issue is the uplift of curb and gutter.
Okay, yeah.
That'll be on our sidewalk project. We'll get back to her.
You said we're utilizing $9 million right now, and we need another 2.8 million to take it up to 60%. I know there would be some cutbacks if we went down that road. What would that entail if we looked at a 60% to bring it? Because eventually we want to get more residential streets if possible, but we know that if we move money here, something over here is not going to get done throughout the year, correct?
Yeah, we would have to take a look at our entire budget and see where we can pick that additional $2 million. It would be from various programs, programming, so that's how we would identify the additional funding.
Can I offer you something else that you guys have been doing, by the way, you're just not giving yourself credit for, is that we've had surplus the last couple of years, and you've taken some of that surplus and put it into the streets. Right. You've done that, which is commendable, and I think we should continue that practice. When you do get surplus, we should set aside some of that money for streets. That's the easy way. That way you're not impacting other programs. But again, you'd have to assume there's going to be a surplus.
So Mr. Mr. Mayor, if we're going to prioritize the residential streets, how many do you think we'll be able to do this year?
We'll come back. So this is not the last time you're going to see me on this, right?
Okay.
We have to come back to you. Every year we do the paving, we have to come back with the streets. So actually our next project isn't part of this plan. It's our last year of the 2021 plan. The main streets there are actually going to, there's some residential streets hit there, but the main segments there are on Washington and on Rosemead. There's still some segments there that we've missed, and we need to get those. But when we come back for that project to award, we'll give you all the segments that are going to hit. And if you look in your packet, if you actually look at year 2026, those are the streets that are in our next project.
I just would like to be a little more creative in exploring ways where we may be able to generate additional. We have been creative. The council has been very creative, and I know it's not a fix-all, but anytime we can increase infrastructure, our residents are happy. Thank you.
I'd like to add, Councilmember Garcia, that when we passed Measure AB, that commitment was to give it back to infrastructure, which we have done, and it's given us that ability as well.
Thank you.
Councilmember Lutz.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Noe. I appreciate the report. I was hoping for part 2. And you said and recommended that we take a 5-year plan and extend it over a 7-year time period. I'm really interested in that. And
Can you repeat that one more time?
Oh, okay. Thank you for giving the detailed report today. And I was looking forward to the part 2, where you hinted at taking a 5-year plan and expanding it over 7 years and giving you the flexibility. So with that being said, I'd like to see you follow up with us and give us the breakdown of what category of streets will be attacked in year 1 and in what regions of the city. That way we can provide this information on social media to our residents and business owners, and allows them to be rest assured that category of very poor streets of a particular region of the city will be attacked in 2027 and 2028, and with that clarity, I think that would give peace of mind to our residents. So I'm looking forward to having you doing part 2 of this report.
Thank you. We're working on that now as we speak. Obviously, we had to come to you today to give us that flexibility to do that. We kind of got a head start on it, but that made more sense to us. But thank you for reminding me about the 7-year plan. So in the document, it starts in year 2025, and I believe it goes all the way to year 2031. Just for clarity for you, year 2025 we've already completed. That was essentially the project that we did with Slauson. And you'll see all those streets in there. Because what happened is when they ran the vehicle over the streets at that time, that wasn't done. So we had to go back to the consultant and let them know these streets were already done. Incorporate them as a very good street. Year 2026 is our upcoming project that we call CIP 50106. And those are the streets that are in that segment. We're ready to go out to bid at the beginning of March on that project, and we're targeting right after Memorial Day to start paving for those streets. So when I say 7-year, we've already done year 1, and then we're going to attack year 2. But that was from the last PMP. But we had to fold that in because if I didn't include those streets, it would have made our numbers go lower, because it would have seemed like we didn't do those streets. So we included them in here so that way we're not double counting or not saying that they're not done. But we'll be happy. When we come back for the project after that one, we will provide a presentation to you in terms of what areas we're targeting.
And 2 other items I did want to discuss is agreeing to and recommending accelerating the schedule as it's mentioned here in the description of this agenda item number 10. And the second item I'd recommend for the council to agree upon is to add an additional 10% to the budget. Know that the council has been creative in adding additional money. I would say an additional 10% just for the cost of inflation, as every year things cost a little bit more, and so if we can get ahead of the curve, that's the other recommendation I'd make. Additional 10% and to accelerate the schedule. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Sanchez?
Yes, thank you so much. One suggestion that I heard of other cities do is, this will relate more to arterial streets, the busier streets. We are a busy truck corridor, and that their weight damaged our streets, correct? So, to my knowledge, we don't have city enforcement or our deputies stopping them to say, hey, your truck is messing up our road. And do we have a system to fine them? Or let's say they're violating, I've seen trucks going on residential streets when they're not supposed to, larger trucks. Those are messing up our residential streets because they're trying to cut through traffic, Washington Boulevard, or get around traffic. So perhaps I don't know if that would go under our deputy budget, if there's any type of position that exists already for, I know it's called a commercial vehicle enforcement officer weight inspectors that would go patrol our arterial streets and find the companies that are violating our streets and messing up our streets, because we have to pay so much money to fix it. And then from that money, we can then put that into our road repairs. I'm not sure if that's something we've explored, or if our deputies, if that's existed before.
Certainly, we can explore that to see if it's feasible, and also talk to a captain. I know CHP has a role in this as well, when it comes to some of these vehicles. But keep in mind, when we did pass Measure AB, that was the impetus, right? Is because the industrial users have a lot of trucks, and that is one of the reasons why they are paying what they're paying today to account for that damage that they're doing to our streets.
Sure, and particularly the ones that are violating. Like if there is a signage that says residential only, no trucks over a certain weight, they're thinking they're gonna get away with it. If they're violating it intentionally, that should be an additional fine that the driver or that company is responsible for. So if we can look into something related to that, that'll be an additional revenue to help us address this.
Councilmember Lutz, you have another question?
Thank you, Mayor. And following up with my colleague, Mayor Pro Tem Sanchez, of these larger trucks violating the weight capacity for smaller streets, I do know that the flock safety cameras do license plate reading, and in 2026, I understand that they were automatically updated to video. Is that correct, Mr. City Manager?
Currently, right now, we do have just pictures right now, not video.
Okay. One thing that I do want to mention now that we're on the topic, the company has made the upgrade nationwide, so I want to make sure that we're provided with that upgraded feature for all of our license plate readers, from photography to video.
We'll look into that.
Thank you.
Councilmember Garcia, you have another question?
Thank you, Mayor. Last question. Once approved, how soon will we be out there?
Well, we're gonna, like I said, the first project, we're trying to come back out to you in May to award, so we can get started this summer. And then we want to look at trying to get another project out before the end of the calendar year.
So we're looking at June to, if everything goes well?
Well, the June one's already in place. That one's already in place in design. Remember, we advertise in March. We have to go 35 days of advertisement, right? We get the bids in, we review the bids, then we got to bring it back to the nearest council meeting. We have to, there's a 2-week period, we got to write the report. It usually takes about 45, 50 days by the time we get the bids to the time we bring it to you, and then we sign the contracts, and then we mobilize the contractor.
So let me just rephrase my question. So once we get through all the process, when will we be out on the roads doing the work?
Well, our next project will start in into May, June.
In the residential areas?
Yep. Part of it residential, but that's from last year's. This year's we want to get to the end. At the end of this year, we're trying to target a project. We haven't started it yet. Right? Today, you're approving for us to start. We have to get a designer on board, design those streets, and get them out on the streets.
In the residential areas?
In the residential areas.
Thank you, council members for those comments, questions. Thank you, Director Negrete, for the presentation. As you know, it's one of those items that it's always on the mind of the residents, and the frustration that we have here as a council, as staff, and more importantly, the residents that have to deal with this, particularly those who live in a street that requires at this point a full reconstruction. And as you mentioned, Director Negrete, as far as the slurry seal or the grind and overlay or the complete reconstruct, you know, as you mentioned, and I'll reiterate the fact that, you know, it's cheaper and it's an investment to do the slurry seal because we don't want it to get to a point of a full reconstruct. And I get the frustration of residents of saying, hey, wait a minute, my street is worse than that street, why don't you fix it? Well, because we don't want it to get to that complete reconstruction. So I get that frustration, I understand, but there's a method to this process, and there's phases throughout as far as having to deal with dealing with our roads and so forth. And you know, but I do want to point out that, you know, it's not a question. It's not a question of, well, the biggest question is always about funding, and we've been here many times over, and I've had many conversations with many city managers and other council members from other cities. They deal with the same issue, whether the index is different at different levels. It's not different. It's no different than others. And we don't live in other cities, and we usually cross through maybe a road or two and say, look, it's always nice. That's not always the case. But not to make excuses for us, my point is that we can never deal and fix every single road. We will never have enough funding to fix all the roads. So it's a catch-up game, because as we fix one, then we have to deal with another one. Hence your presentation as far as what we've approved in the past that starts in May and what we're doing today. And in the report, it has a list of all the streets from different years. But I want to be clear that it's never a question about council making decisions of saving money to the detriment of the resident. It's not a question about council not willing to allocate funding to get to that 60%. It's always a question about how much funding is available. So I just want to make sure it's clear to the residents that it's not like we're neglecting our roads intentionally. It's the matter of funding that is available. And so as Measure AB is a good example as mentioned, and or surpluses that come in, that we can allocate those fundings and prioritize as such. But again, I want to be clear, it's not a question of neglect, it's not a question of allocation of funding, it's not a question of, well, if you give me another $2 million today, we're going to get to 60%. Well, in that case, I'd rather get to 70%, I'll give you $10 million. But we don't have $10 million. I just want to be clear, Mr. Gerte, that, you know, I want to give clarity to your presentation, that there's a lot to do here. There's a lot to go on, and we are prioritizing our streets. And I think when it looks at our arterials, I think at this point, with exception to a good section of Rosemary Boulevard, from Mines to Woodard Boulevard, major neglect, we got to fix that. But in addition to that, we got to tackle the roads, the residential roads, because, you know, nobody likes to have, you know, pieces of asphalt, you know, scattered throughout their front of their house because, you know, it's broken up. So this is a receive and file item. It's not at least I didn't understand it as a request for funding, but it's an issue of, you know, and to my colleagues, as far as what else can we do to get additional funding? How do we prioritize? There's technology that we use to determine whether the index and the condition of these roads give us a better understanding of our condition, but you're asking for flexibility. I think that's good. They give you the flexibility because the visual of, for example, I know we've had a speaker in the last meeting talk about Balfour and talk about, you know, around El Rancho High School. I think it's Locker Lane and Balfour as an example that is not on the index. And I just use that example only because, you know, it's there. There's a lot of traffic that goes into that high school, and now with the new sports complex and the new entrance on Locker Lane, there's going to be that much more traffic. And there's going to be so many people coming from outside the city and coming to our city and be like, wow, look at Pico Rivera. roads are falling apart. So what we're giving here and what you're asking for is flexibility to a city manager, and that's what we're here to give you. This is a priority of ours, and we will continue making it a priority of ours, and we'll continue doing our best to tackle our street maintenance and without having to impact other programs. In addition to that, the frustration as well with residents is that, you're spending money on beautification, as an example, the medians. And why prioritize that when we have roads to fix? Well, there's funding, there's different funding sources, whether it be federal, state, and this money is dedicated to these roads. So we get these grants that is only specific to the medians. So we're not saying, hey, general fund, let's take this funding and let's do medians where the roads are falling apart. No, it's a grant that we received that is dedicated for that purpose, and we cannot use it for roads. And I get the residents can get frustrated thinking that we're doing as such. Mines Avenue is a good example. We just finished Mines Avenue, with the bike project, and that was a complete reconstruct. But that money was dedicated. We had to do the bike lane, we had to do the bioswale because the money was dedicated for that purpose. So I say that for residents to try to better understand that it's not a question about prioritizing general fund money. It's utilizing how grants are allocated and how they need to be spent and what it needs to spend, and we can't move them back and forth. But it's not a question about neglect. It's not a question about spending more or less. It's what's available to us. So thank you for that, City Manager. Thank you for that. And
Mayor, if I may ask, Mr. Negrete, so if residents have a question for you, they want to know what rating their street is on. I think everyone thinks their street is really bad. They think their street is poor. Who do they call to find out where their street ranks and if it's on the list and when the repair?
You can call the Public Works Department. Maybe that's something we can look at too, how we can present that to the residents.
Yeah, something you can look up and inform them with their street information.
Okay.
Thank you.
very well. That concludes this presentation. This is the receive and file item. I would like to ask for a roll call vote. Ms. City Clerk,
Can I get up first and a second?
can I get a motion? I'm sorry.
Second?
First and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Garcia?
Yes.
Councilmember Lutz?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mayor Camacho?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Which now leads us into our city manager's staff report. City manager?
Yes, Mayor, City Council, just a quick reminder, on January 21st, we are requesting volunteers to help us in our homeless count. It's our annual homeless count drive, so this is posted on our social media. We don't have much participation at this time, so we're reaching out to the community because this is something that's extremely important, and we'd like to just make sure that we can get some more volunteers for that count. In addition, there are a couple blood drives that are scheduled. One Wednesday, January 21st, 1 to 6:30. This is going to be at the Pico Rivera Library. And the second one will be Thursday, January 22nd at the Pico Rivera Community Center Auditorium, Pico Park. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. With that, leads us into the good of the order. Intergovernmental agency meetings, AB 1234, new business and or old business. I'll start with Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. In terms of AB 1234, I need to disclose that I attended the LA County Select Committee meeting. I also attended the LA County Sanitation meeting. Along with my colleagues here on the dais, we attended the Christmas Basket Committee food giveaway. We attended the Sheriff's Department toy giveaway.
On the same day.
We attended some of our veteran toy giveaways. It was a busy December. Also, our Pio Pico Women's Club fundraiser. It was a busy December, I must say. And with that, I just want to thank everybody. Happy New Year. We're coming off a successful 2025. May 2026 be healthy, happy, and prosperous.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Lutz.
Thank you, Mayor. I have 4 items. The first item is AB 1234. No items to discuss there, but along with my colleagues, there is, I wanted to make a correction. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We did do our legislative tour in Sacramento, where the majority of council, along with our wonderful staff, we went out to Sacramento to speak to our legislators, and of course, as a unified front, we asked for dollars to improve our city, to get closer to our vision of Pico Rivera 2035. And that, indeed, we're making steps, slow progress, but we're making progress nonetheless. And of course, with our colleagues, we went to our wonderful Sheriff's Department with our Captain Jose Hernandez and gave toys away to all the local youth and neighboring youth who decided to come out to that toy drive. So again, thanks to our Sheriff Captain and our sheriffs of the Pico Rivera Sheriff Station for doing that annual toy drive. And also to our fantastic Christmas Baskets Committee. They've been around for about 49 years. I guess around the same time when I was born. That's how I remember. And, you know, aside from doing the annual food giveaway at the Pico Park, they also do scholarships for our youth. So I want to give a big thanks to the Christmas Baskets for doing that annual food drive, and the Pico Rivera staff, the Parks and Recreation in particular, that go out there and volunteer and make sure everything is run efficiently. So again, thanks to the entire city for making that happen. And again, that legislative tour, we want to thank the city manager and Javier and Jesse for prepping us and allowing us to speak to our legislators, and we do appreciate that. Finally, because we're starting a new year of 2026, I always look to work with my colleagues on upcoming projects that don't necessarily cost too much money for the city. We have so many pending projects, like our wonderful dog park. I'm so excited for that to come around, and that's going to be doing the ribbon cutting on the 22nd. And so that's right around the corner. I'm so excited. When I first got on council, that was one of the things I asked staff to look into, and I know my colleagues were anxious to get that on board. The money finally came, and now it actually is something that's going to be a reality. So I'm so excited about that dog park.
You have a dog too, right?
I have a lot of dogs. I think I have the maximum limit 3. I think, yeah, the maximum limit is 3. And so I'm really excited to bring my dogs. I have a little dog and I have a big dog. And that new dog park coming around the corner is going to have 2 sections. It's going to have sections for humans to watch their little dogs and their big dogs in their separate sections. And there's going to be parking as well. And it's also going to have a beautiful little theme. So if you're curious, stop by and take a look. Gallatin Road and Rosemead Boulevard, our Pico Rivera Dog Park is coming around the corner on the 22nd at 10 a.m. So if you have time to get excused from work, bring your dog and come on, take a look at our ribbon cutting. And finally, the final item I do want to talk about, items that don't necessarily cost the city too much, is we have 4 wonderful cities that are our sister cities, and they're all located in Jalisco, Mexico. And I think it's fantastic for the kids to participate in cross-cultural opportunities and possibly even having the opportunity to do a semester in one of the universities there, the well-known university, Guadalajara University. But I had this idea, and if my colleagues can join me, and if we can create an ad hoc to have sister cities established in every other continent around the world. So wouldn't it be lovely if we can have a sister city, in, for example, in Buenos Aires, Argentina, in South America, and a nice sister city in Cairo, Egypt, one in Paris, France, and one possibly in the United Arab Emirates. So, you know, that would cover all the other continents except for Australia, so possibly a sister city in Sydney, Australia, minus Antarctica because that's off limits. So if I could
Greenland.
get, Mr. Mayor, someone that would like to join me on that ad hoc, and if we can establish that so we can create a new sister city and one of the other 5 continents.
Do we need that? Because isn't that under the scope of the Sister City Commission?
Well,
So we could agendize that to the Sister City Commission?
Well, we can give them direction and now items to work on. So that's what I would like to see if,
I would second that, put that as an agenda item to the Sister City Commission, and Councilmember Lutz will be the liaison to that item.
yeah.
I'm gonna be looking at other ad hocs. We're doing a reset, so I will take that into consideration and we'll determine that from there.
Okay. Thank you very much. That concludes my items. Mr. Mayor?
Yep, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. I have under AB 1234, I attended the California Contract Cities Legislative Summit in Sacramento, and we met with various legislative members to discuss our items. Our staff took the lead in conducting a presentation, so thank you, Director Javier Hernandez, as well as our staff, Jesse. And we shared our legislative platform with other cities across the state. So I like to think our mayor is our prestigious legislative chair, and they use our platforms as a model. Many cities don't even have their own legislative platform, and we also scheduled meetings with members to let them know about our regional projects, our bus rapid transit, regional transit corridor, so many things that we're doing that we get ideas from them, but I feel like now it's the reverse where they're getting ideas from us. But we're happy to do that, and I'm glad that we have the staff and our leadership. We take a leadership role definitely at California Contract Cities. And then I wanted to share that I was also invited to attend the 22nd Annual Lunar New Year Festival. And this was in Torrance. It was very exciting. I learned that it's the year of the fire horse. And there were members from all over the county to celebrate the beginning of the Lunar New Year. And it was a wonderful event. There was members from the Chinese consulate, delegates from Shanghai, China, dancers, children dressed as dragons. It was such a wonderful event, and I would love to see us do something similar. I know we don't have a large Chinese American, Asian population, but I thought it was a great event, and I'm glad that they invited us to participate. The third thing I also wanted to report, we were invited to attend the annual Ernie Johnson Memorial Golf Tournament with our colleagues on the El Rancho Unified District Board, and that tournament goes towards scholarships directly to students. The funds that they receive from that, they have raffle tickets and prizes, and we get a chance to golf. I got to golf with my colleagues. I want to give a shout out to Esther Mejia. She's a new Latina Golfers member. She was really picking it up, and it's always great to have another lady, which I don't mind golfing with my colleagues. I love them too. They're great mentors, but it was exciting to have another woman join us in the golf tournament. I also just wanted to give a shout out to January is School Board Recognition Month, and I wanted to also give kudos to our trustee, our Rio Hondo College Board trustee, and she's our wonderful planning commissioner, Yariz Marocha. So many people don't understand the difference between school governance, the school board, and the city. And we have to often work together because that's the school jurisdiction. And when people came to us and said, "Oh, we need a new football stadium, we need a new swimming pool," we don't have jurisdiction over their budget. We have to work with them and communicate with them, and that's why I think the ad hoc that we have is really important. So I would, when we discuss the ad hocs, I would like to continue to be on the. I come from education as well. I would like to be a representative to continue to work with that. But I want to give our trustee and our planning commissioner, Yariz Marocha, she's a bridge between the city and the education world. And I want to thank you for all the work that you do, late evenings, long meetings, and we don't get paid a lot. We don't do this for money. So thank you so much. And that's it.
Thank you, council members. I do have a few items to report as well as it relates to AB 1234 reports. I too attended the California Contract Cities Association legislative tour last week with my colleagues. I did have, as was mentioned by Mayor Pro Tem, I do chair the legislative committee for California Contract Cities Association. I did have a presentation that encompassed, Advocacy 101, but also reflecting on last year's session as far as legislative wins and losses, as well as what's ahead in this next legislative session. Something to point out is that, municipal governments here in California provide services based on the laws that are established in Sacramento. Sometimes these laws do not reflect and or support our ability to provide the better services, and we advocate against that type of legislation. But sometimes there are some legislation that does support and allow us to provide the better service that can be in economic development, public safety, transportation issues, and so forth. And, one in particular, depending on how you feel about housing density, but there's recently been a lot of housing density laws that have been passed. You're seeing ADUs, you're seeing home garage conversions, you're seeing, more units per lot that are being allowed. That wasn't allowed before. We were able to control through our land use planning here that constraint, but now because of this housing intensity has made it difficult for us. And when folks come to us, look, I have not enough parking, and yet they're building more housing. Unfortunately, it's not laws that are created here in Pico Rivera or any municipal government in California. It's the laws that are being created in Sacramento that we have to abide by. And so we feel that we have the best intention for our community and position housing development in areas like major corridors versus having a duplex, triplex, and 2-3-story house next to your house. But that's what's happening. And so we, advocate. I mentioned that as an example because this is the changing world of Sacramento, and I've been, on the forefront on legislation when it comes to that. We did have an opportunity to meet with our legislators. We did have an opportunity to learn as well from what's happening on all these subjects that I mentioned. And also a big highlight, which I want to point out, that we had the opportunity to join and be part of the inauguration of the new Senate Pro Tem of the state of California, Senator Monique Limon, which is from Santa Barbara, which happens to be a really good friend of Mayor Pro Tem Sanchez. They went to undergraduate school at Berkeley, and it's the first Latina to serve in that position, which was a highlight. Exactly, and so again, that's my report as it relates to AB 123. As it relates to intergovernmental agency reports, just want to give an update. SIACA, the Southeast Animal Control, is going through some changes. We are transitioning to trying to find a new director. We're looking for an acting one right now. I chair that committee right now, and I want to make sure that animal care, if your dogs get out and they get picked up, they're well taken care of, but also picking up, animals that have been deceased that are on the road. There's questions about service, there's question about funding and sustainability and long-term. Been working really close with our city manager and our assistant city manager as it relates to making sure that there's long-term sustainability in this agency. And so that's where we're having just an update on this intergovernmental agency meetings. As it relates to old business, wanted to just, again, attended many events like my colleagues throughout last month, but just want to give an additional shout out to our Christmas Baskets Committee, our Sheriff Department, Casa Santa Fe, and many other, other organizations and individuals that were out there during the holidays helping others, whether it be providing food or providing toys and other assistance support. Pico Rivera always comes through, and I thank you for that. As far as new business is concerned, my colleague Mayor Pro Tem mentioned about Rio Hondo and our trustee that's here with us, Rocha, who, we had an initial meeting to develop a MOU between Rio Hondo College, Rancho Unified School District, and the city of Pico Rivera, which I thank Trustee Rocha for leading this effort and bringing us together, working together on all things related to utilizing resources, supporting each other. For one, having better pathways for our students at our Rancho High School, but also not only from an educational perspective, but in addition, those individuals who want to do upskilling or reskilling or want to further their education at Rio Hondo College. There's a lot of resources, and I know Trustee Rocha is working hard to provide and help us with that. But also, there's a lot of businesses that are in our community that can upskill their employees and reskill some of their employees. There's a lot of resources that I think we can capture, and not developed yet, but it will be forthcoming, and hopefully we can all support you to move forward on that and doing that. And so that's a new business item. And lastly, the other new business, as was mentioned by Councilmember Lutz, on the 21st, 10 a.m., we're going to have our first dog park in the city of Pico Rivera, which is exciting, which is great. We invite everyone to be there. And so, my dog is not that well behaved. It's a rescue from Siaka, but I think I'm going to keep him at home for that because I'll be busy. But nevertheless, there's going to be an opportunity for you to take your dogs to our new dog park. That concludes my report, and as far as I know, and of course, I don't want to fail to recognize our Fred Zermano, who's Senator Bob Chileta's staff member, who's always, former planning commissioner for 10 years, who's did a lot of great work. Thank you for being here, Fred. And that concludes my report. That is pretty much will lead us into our closed session. And so I'll then send it over to our city attorney to lead us into closed session. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and wish you all the best in 2026, health, prosperity, and above all, happiness. Thank you. Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, at this time, we'd ask the City Council recess into closed session for the item that's listed as item A, conference with Rio property negotiator.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.